Before we dive in, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci-fi fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
Aboard the Heimdall, the command deck shuddered under the first impact. Plasma lances tore through space, hammering the shield like thunder. Alarms blared. Red strobes pulsed through the bridge. Admiral Edmund Craig gripped the tactical rail, eyes locked on the holomap. "Status!" Ortega's voice cut sharp over the din. 3 enforcers, dreadnought class, cloaked entry from the Maw Edge, shields at 94%, no breach. Craig didn't blink. The map bloomed with vectors, sleek, angular ships bearing the Concord spectral insignia. Not pirates this time. Official. Concord Galactic Council. "Vor," Craig keyed into the comm. "Flank them. Silent pulses only." From the shadow of Heimdall's outer ring, Commander Ilias Vor's strike wing detached. 6 human scouts fused with Suklor stealth rigs. They ghosted forward, invisible to standard scans. Vor's voice came low, steady. "Copy. Engaging." The lead enforcer fired again, a broadside arc that lit the shield like a dying star. Heimdall's frame groaned, but the deep core reactors absorbed the surge, channeling the energy back through the grid. Craig watched the map. This wasn't a raid. Only 3 days has passed since the Interstellar Council's broadcast. 3 days since he'd cut the Concord's feed mid-sentence. They'd come to show their power. Vor's wing closed the gap. No formation lights, no engine flares. Just cold drift, propelled by calibrated jumps. Fractional hops that shaved seconds off the intercept. "Target the ventral arrays," Vor ordered his pilots. "1 shot each. Scatter on impact." The scouts aligned, ventral racks humming as pulse warheads charged. Silent, untraceable. They fired in unison. The pulses lanced out. Tight, invisible spikes that bypassed the enforcer's outer shields. Impacts registered as system failures, power surges, core overloads. The lid ship's weapons went dark mid-charge, spinal cannon venting plasma harmlessly into space. Alarms spiked on the enemy bridges. Craig could imagine it. No incoming trace, no attacker signature. Just malfunction cascading into chaos. The enforcers broke formation. One rolling hard to evade what they couldn't see. Another broadcast a distress ping. Council codes. Priority 1. "They're calling for backup," Ortega said. Craig nodded. "Disrupt their comms." Vor's wing vanished. Sensor ghosts trailing behind them, mimicking debris fields as they looped back to Heimdall. The enforcers didn't pursue. They jumped out, trails bleeding heat. Silence fell over the deck. Craig released the rail. "Damage report?" "Minimal," Ortega replied. "Shield integrity restored to 100%. No casualties." But Craig's gaze stayed on the map. The Concorde wouldn't stop at probes. This was the spark. In the secure war room, 1 hour later, the holotable flickered with allied feeds. The Arathi signal hummed in, musical tones weaving through the translator. Our harmonics held. But they will adapt. We sense escalation. Volcral reps growled agreement, crystalline veins glowing in their feeds. No words, just bone-armored nods, claws tapping volcanic ridges behind them. Then the Suklor joined, bronze scales dull under the station light, crests held rigid. "Our frigates stand ready. We strike their outposts?" "Not yet," Craig said. "We need leverage." He turned to the full group. The broadcast challenged them. Now they hit back. "We don't scatter. We consolidate here at Heimdall. Draw them in." One by one, the feeds blinked out. The meeting dissolved. Craig stepped back from the holotable. Ortega crossed his arms. And the Trigon car? Craig tapped the interface. A neutral channel opened. Matte black feed, resolving into the featureless mask of their envoy. The Trigon car, ruthless, methodical pirates, were still operating across the fringe lanes. They hadn't pledged peace, only non-aggression. A calculated pause while they watched humanity fight and win. Now they were weighing their next move. The masked envoy spoke, voice flat. "We observed. Concord moves against you. Craig met the blank gaze. They move against all of us. Join or watch from the edge. A pause. Non-aggression was our offer. Craig's tone didn't shift. Insufficient. Alliance or irrelevance. The mask tilted slightly. We consider. The link went dark. Vor stood near the holotable, armor still sealed from the sortie. Wayland's edge is locked in. Sucklore vessels are loaded and ready. Targets? Craig pulled up the map. 3 Concord hubs lit up along the verge. These. Relay stations only. No direct kills. Disrupt their comms. Rattle their telemetry. Force a reaction. Vor studied the targets. Strategic disruption. Craig nodded once. If war's coming, better we start it on our terms, with their systems blinking and our fleets ready. The Wayland's edge strikes landed first. 3 Concord relay hubs across the verge went dark within hours. Comm towers fried, nav grids scrambled, fleet telemetry thrown off course. No casualties, no wreckage, just silence. Craig hadn't launched the attacks to end a war, but to prevent one to start too early, to buy time before the fire came. And it did. Deep in Concord space, on the orbital spire of Echelon Prime, the High Minister reviewed the Enforcer logs. Cloaked in spectral silk, he watched the holoreplay loop again and again, shields failing without impact, dreadnoughts drifting blind, no sign of enemy fire. Human trickery, his aide hissed. The Minister said nothing at first, just silence. Then, not just humans, their council, outcasts, united. The Galactic Council had expected panic, chaos. Instead, their ships had been dismantled by weapons they couldn't trace. No signatures, no debris, just systems failing, as if by phantom hand. So they waited. 1 cycle, then 2. Studying, probing, trying to understand what they were up against. And realizing, quietly, that they no longer held the technological edge. When no answers came, only silence and growing defiance from Heimdall, the decision was made. The Minister keyed a command. Fleet markers lit across the verge, dozens, then hundreds. Burn them, all! The order pulsed out. For 6 days, the outer verge remained silent. Heimdall's vanguard strikes had disabled 3 Concord relay hubs, severing key relays and jamming long-range telemetry. Any Concord vessel entering the sector found its comms scrambled, nav data corrupted, and fleet tracking systems thrown off course. Craig hadn't expected surrender, but the delay told him something else. The Concord wasn't just angry. They were confused, studying, recalibrating. And then, slipspace ruptures tore open across the fringe, 47 vessels. Dreadnoughts and cruisers in staggered formation. No warning pings. No comm hail. Just fire. Craig stood on the command deck, eyes focused. The holomap painted it red. Confirmed, Ortega reported. Full Concord fleet. Heimdall's alarms flipped from amber to red. Shields surged to life, blue harmonics sweeping outward. Flameglass armor locked into place. The station braced. Allied wings to assigned vectors, Craig ordered. Vor, port flank. Stealth intercept only. Vor's reply came cold and focused, already on the move. In open space, the Concord fleet closed with mathematical precision. No errors, no drift. Their capital arrays glowed, preparing the first barrage. When it came, it didn't come alone. Plasma lances hammered the Heimdall's shield lattice. Not probing shots. Full-impact walls meant to burn through or break spirit. The lattice flexed, redirected, absorbed. But even Arathi harmonics had limits. Shields at 82%, Ortega called. They're cycling inputs, learning the pattern. Craig didn't flinch, hold fire, let them commit. The second barrage hit harder. 1 node flared, nearly overloading, but held. A Sucklore frigate took a glancing shot, venting quietly into the void. Breach sealed, the commander said calmly. Still operational. Craig exhaled. Vor, now. From shadow, Vor's wing emerged. 12 ships, cloaked and silent. They struck like phantoms. No flare, no signature, just damage. 4 dreadnoughts lost power in the first wave. 1 spun out of formation, engines dead. Another went dark. Bridge blind. Comms black. The Concorde hesitated. They were trained for opposition, not ghosts. "Second pass," Vor ordered. "Bridge clusters. Fade on exit." The wing dove again. Surgical, quiet, clean. Aboard the Echelon's Wrath, the Concorde's forward command vessel, envoys transmitted real-time footage to the High Minister on Concord Prime. He watched the chaos unfold in silence. "No attacker signatures," his aide stammered. "No debris. No impact trails." The High Minister said nothing for a long moment. Then the new order came from Concord Command. "Shift to kinetic barrage. Prepare boarding pods." Hundreds of torpedoes launched, pods wrapped in hardened armor, set to breach and deploy. Craig saw the launch ripple across the map. "Volkral to inner decks. Harmonics. Tight weave. Coil defenses now." Heimdall's spine answered. Torsion lances snapped through the void, invisible and precise. Pods buckled mid-flight, some collapsing in on themselves like crushed cans. A few made it through. 2 breaches. Conquered Marines entered with phase lances drawn, and met Volkral fire. Bone-armored warriors waited in silence, blades drawn, heat glowing beneath their skin. The corridor lit in red as first contact flared. 1 Marine fired. 1 Volkral charged. The hallway became a furnace. The breach sealed within minutes. No boarders survived. On the bridge, Craig scanned the after-action feed. Casualties. Minimal. Injuries. Some wounded. All stable. Concorde losses. 6 capitals disabled. Dozens of pods lost. Hundreds missing in action. The fleet broke formation, jagged, bleeding heat, and jumped out. Silence returned. Ortega watched the display clear. "They'll regroup." Craig nodded. "But we bled them. And more than just ships." He turned toward the comm array. "Send word to the Interstellar Council. We held." And deeper in Concord space, the High Minister didn't speak. He watched the failed assault play again, and again, and again. The High Minister studied the tactical display in silence. Icons drifted across the projection. Heimdall at the center, its surrounding lanes unnaturally quiet. No pirate incursions. No opportunistic raids. No pressure from the fringe. He turned slowly toward his aide. "Why?" he asked, voice smooth and hollow. "Are the Trig and Carr not raiding the human sector?" The aide hesitated, then answered carefully. "They have pledged neutrality. Non-aggression only. Since the humans dismantled the Skardoon and scattered the remaining pirate clans, most survivors have gone dark. The Trig and Carr assessed the risk and chose patience." "Patience," the minister repeated. "They are watching," the aide continued, "and waiting." The minister's gaze hardened. "No predator waits forever," he said, "unless it fears the hunt." He turned back to the display. "Target Karkadesh. Show them what neutrality earns." The Trig and Carr homeworld, hidden beyond fractured lanes and mineral storms, had long survived through calculation and restraint. Its cities were carved into mantle shelves. Its industries fed fleets, not empires. Until now. Concorde vessels dropped into orbit without warning, no broadcast, no demand. They struck first at infrastructure. Fuel reserves detonated in rolling firestorms. Mining complexes collapsed under kinetic impact. Food vaults vented atmosphere into open sky. Orbital yards burned as half-assembled hulls tore apart in vacuum. Trig and Carr defense fleets rose to meet them. Disciplined, sensor-baffled, precise. It didn't matter. The Concorde didn't come to conquer. They came to mark. Half the Trig and Carr warfleet was destroyed before counterfire stabilized. A final strike shattered the deep forge, Karkadesh's primary military foundry, its molten core spilling into space like a wound. Then the Concorde fleet jumped out. No explanation, no apology. In Heimdall's war room, less than a day later, the incoming feed flickered to life. The Trig and Carr envoy appeared, its mask scorched, the background alive with emergency light and smoke. "We are no longer neutral," said the envoy, voice steady behind the scorched mask. "When we hunted, the Concord looked away. Now that we chose silence, we became the hunted." He paused, letting the weight settle. "I see now why you fight, and I will not watch from the edge again. We want in." Craig stood motionless, hands clasped behind his back. "I'm Rauk Zahir," he continued, "and we request entry into the Interstellar Council. Our fleets, what remains, will fight under your command." Craig turned slightly toward Ortega. "Integrate their tactical net. Full access." Ortega nodded, already moving. Craig faced the holo display again. "Alliance means discipline. No raids, no side wars." The mask inclined. "Understood." The feed went dark. Vor stepped closer, voice low. "They didn't come seeking protection." "No," Craig said. "They came because they were shown the cost of standing alone." Later, deep within Heimdall's secured research wing, Craig met Dr. Amelia Volt. Hollow arrays filled the chamber, layered with shifting equations and jump simulations. Her team worked in silence, some present, others visible only as flickering projections from distant collaborators. "The Jarethicul frameworks worked," Amelia said without preamble. "But we rewrote everything else. And we discovered this." She gestured, and a tactical grid lit up. "Ships can now vanish from local space and reappear behind an enemy formation, not minutes later, not light seconds away, right behind them." Craig leaned in. "FTL blink," she continued. "Timed, controlled, weapon ready on exit." Another display flared. "And long-range calibration. Sol is reachable in 2 days." Craig exhaled slowly. "We've already prepared the data packets," Amelia added, "but it'll take time to scale the system fleet-wide." Amelia opened a secured case and turned it toward him. Inside, 6 compact units gleamed, sleek, metallic, humming with dormant energy. Craig's gaze stayed on the display. Then he looked at her. "Good," he said. "You're going to Sol, Doctor." Amelia blinked. "Admiral, I need Earth moving before the Concord realizes what just changed," Craig said. "You'll take half your team. Walk them through it. Make sure it doesn't get lost in committee." He slid the case back toward her. "Take half of them. Deliver those units personally," Craig said. "The rest, stay here. We scale production at Heimdall." Amelia took the case, absorbing the weight of it. Then she straightened. "Understood." Craig met her eyes. "This changes the board, Amelia." "Then let's make sure there's still a board to change," she said. Craig gave a final nod and left without another word, while Amelia turned back to prepare the jump to Sol. Outside the viewport, Heimdall burned with activity. Volkral welded flame glass plating into ruptured hulls. Suk lore crews recalibrated refraction arrays. Trigon car engineers worked beside them, ships scarred but intact. Craig watched Karkadesh's image fade from the tactical display. The Conquered had meant to isolate him and his allies. Instead, they forced a choice, and broke the balance. Neutrality was dead. Loyalty had chosen a side. Craig knew he needed to buy time, so he outlined the plan personally. 2 targets. 1 message. Vor launched from Heimdall 6 hours after Amelia Volt departed for Sol. He led a mixed strike group of human assault ships and Suklor stealth frigates. The fleet ran dark, masked, silent, not to conquer, to fracture. The refinery moon of Thalos VI never saw it coming. It began with a blink. Not a slipspace rupture, not a jump flare, just a ripple in local space. And then Vor's fleet dropped in from behind the orbital ring. 12 human strike ships. 4 Suklor frigates. Every hull dark and silent, cloaked in refracted phase-masking tech. No hails. No mercy. 2 hours earlier, the first target had already fallen. The rare metal commerce hub at Relay Station, a neutral merchant waypoint supplying refined alloys to Concord-aligned markets, was reduced to slag. Civilian traffic was spared, but every outbound freighter tagged for military contracts was neutralized, refueling silos vented, vaults breached, Fuel shipments gone. The message was simple. The Interstellar Council could hit back. Now came the second blow. "Primary reactors located," came a voice across the strike net. Suk-lore tone, crisp and sharpened by battle logic. "Target all furnaces and storage spires," Vor said. "No planetary bombardment. We're here for disruption, not extinction." Phase pulses lanced outward. Silent. Invisible. The Thales 6 defense grid flickered once, then died entirely. Moments later, the refining sectors lit up in amber and red. Chain detonations roared across the surface as industrial stacks collapsed inward, slag erupting like volcanic fountains. The entire output of the coming year, fuel composites, reactive metals, shield alloys, gone. Concord patrols scrambled late. A pair of heavy frigates warped in from an adjacent system, only to be caught in a silent crosslance and crippled within 30 seconds. Vor watched the impact from the command rail of his forward ship. Status: 0 Allied losses. Extraction vectors green. Execute. They vanished again, breaking into fractional jumps, leaving only fire and vacuum behind. While Vor executed the operation, back at Heimdall, the forges didn't rest. Fusion conduits pulsed overhead. Fabrication arms etched lattice cores. Engineers and AI-laced assistants moved non-stop across the decks, scaling the impossible. Craig stepped into the forge wing, boots echoing against the reinforced deck. "We're cycling at 180% projected throughput," Helan reported crisply. The Arathi tech changed everything. And by the way, they've learned how to communicate with us directly. No more tone pulse diagrams, no more holographic guesses. Full language matrix, clean, fluent, precise. He tapped a control node. A projection bloomed between them. A radiant sphere, caged in refractor alloys, pulsing with dense, captured stellar energy. "The Arathi call it a light capsule," he continued. "It's not a generator. It's a sun, stabilized, encapsulated, portable." Craig watched in silence. They've spent centuries developing this, trying to leave Raylos without killing themselves in the process. When we defended them during the pirate siege, they studied our weapons, our shielding, our venting systems. What they couldn't solve in centuries, they finished in weeks. Helan swiped another layer onto the display. A jump lattice, now overlaid with harmonic flowcharts and Zirathi-cool drift compensators. Craig's expression tightened with focus. "They can leave Raylos now?" Helan nodded. "They're building their first test vessel. But what matters for us, this energy core solves the bottleneck." He tapped the sphere again. "We've eliminated jump recalibration. No delays, no drift. We can chain jumps like pulses. Fleet synced, target locked." Craig leaned in closer. "And how fast to scale?" Helan didn't hesitate. "We'll be fleet ready in 48 hours. Craig's reply was calm. "Then scale it." On Concord Prime, the High Minister stood in silence as the footage looped again. A distant moon, industrial rings collapsing, shockwaves rolling across scorched terrain. No demands, no warnings, just precision strikes, clinical, brutal. Thales sick in flames. Then the earlier report. Relay station reduced to slag. Refueling silos gutted. Alloy vaults breached. Rare metal shipments destroyed before they could launch. Together, the targets had crippled 2 key links in the Concord's war supply. And all signs, weapon signatures, ship telemetry, tactical profiles, pointed to one conclusion: humans. Or more precisely, humans' interstellar council. No claim had been made, no banner raised. But the message was clear. "They want to bleed us," one of the attending counselors said. Her voice held no fear, only rage. "And they've shown they can." The High Minister said nothing. He let the silence build. Then he turned toward the others, gathered in the shadowed chamber of Concord's core hall, an ancient place of decision and consequence. "2 strikes," he said coldly. 2 worlds. He turned a hand over, slowly. "And still they posture as defenders." Another counselor leaned forward. Humans are architects of disruption, builders of rebellion. That station at Heimdall is no longer a foothold. It is a fortress. A pause. Then the High Minister's voice cut through the chamber. No more delays, no more restraint. He looked each of them in the eye. They have chosen to divide the galaxy. So be it. He raised his hand and activated the central relay. All fleets prepare. We will extinguish this false alliance. We end the humans. We burn the Interstellar Council. And one by one, the counselors gave their answer. Agreed. Burn them. Extinction. End it. Meanwhile, with the light capsules now integrated across Heimdall's core fleet, Craig watched jump prep reports roll in across the main holotable, one after another, clean and synchronized. No recalibration lag, no drift. The Interstellar Council was no longer a line on a star map. It was a war engine. To verify the system's reliability under fleet conditions, Craig had ordered a full-range test. Ortega was sent aboard the Ararat 9, outfitted with a prototype core, on a direct FTL jump to Earth. He returned the same day. Travel, meetings, agreements, all of it completed within a single rotation. Proof that the new FTL tech was now fully operational. The message he carried was clear. Earth had received the data, confirmed the technology, and begun mobilization. A fleet was being assembled, not only to reinforce Heimdall, but to establish a permanent military orbital station in the sector. A true bastion, armed and shielded, built to ensure long-term control of the fringe and keep Concord incursions and pirate resurgence at bay. Dr. Volt herself would oversee the development. Then, without announcement, a private signal lit the board. Ortega's eyes narrowed. Only one source ever triggered that line. "Sir," he said quietly, "incoming transmission. Untraceable frequency. It's your private holo channel. Do you want to take it in your quarters or—" Craig didn't hesitate. "Clear the bridge." Ortega nodded once. Within seconds, all comms were locked down. The main display blanked. No one else had access. No echoes. No logs. Craig turned toward the holostation and answered. Varen Kell. The holographic image shimmered to life, tall and fluid. The Varnkai elder stood in partial shadow, ceremonial crest faintly backlit, throat sac tight with tension. His skin shimmered a dim blue in the low light, the edges of his fins folded close in restraint. "Admiral Craig," Varen Kell said, voice like water over stone. "This must remain unseen." Craig gave a short nod. Always does. Varen Kell glanced over his shoulder, an instinct more than a necessity, then leaned slightly closer. "The inner circle of the Concord met in emergency session. A unanimous verdict has been delivered." Craig's jaw shifted. "Say it." "They have declared your species to be incompatible, in violation of galactic stability. Full eradication authorized. No concessions. No negotiations." Craig nodded. "All member worlds have been instructed to align, including mine," Varen Kell continued, throat sac pulsing. "To abstain is to fracture the Council. To resist is to forfeit protection." There was something raw beneath the aquatic grace, something close to shame. "I owe you more than I can repay," he said quietly. "My people breathe under the stars now because of you. But to stand with you openly is to place Kaerith Voss under fire. We are not prepared." Craig stepped closer to the projection, voice low. "This war won't end the way the Concord expects." Varen Kell's fins lifted slightly. "You don't need to put your people in danger," Craig said. "Just listen. When the fleet deployments begin, stay forward, not behind." That gave Varen Kell pause. "Forward?" Craig nodded once. "Don't hide. Don't hang back. Be seen. Be placed near the front of their lines." The Varnkai leader tilted his head, tone narrowing. "You would put us in their path?" "No," Craig said. "I'm keeping you out of ours." The silence lingered. Varen Kell finally gave a slow breath through his gills. "You move pieces I cannot see, Admiral." Craig met his gaze. Then trust me. Just don't stay in the back. Another pause. Then the Varnkai lowered his head. Understood. The signal cut. The bridge door slid open with a soft hiss as Ortega stepped back inside, eyes instinctively scanning the room. Craig was still at the holotable, arms crossed, the private channel gone dark. "Everything all right, sir?" Ortega asked, stepping toward him. Craig didn't look up immediately. "We've got confirmation." Ortega stopped beside him. "From the Varnkai." Craig nodded. "The Concord Inner Circle met, full consensus. Humanity's extermination has been authorized. All Concord-aligned members are bound to it." Ortega's jaw tightened. "They're done pretending, then." "They never pretended," Craig said. "They just stalled until they were ready to strike." Ortega hesitated. "So what now? Do we preempt again? Hit them before they deploy? Another sabotage run?" Craig finally turned to face him. "No more sabotage. Not with Varenkel's fleet committed to the war. If we hit now, we could kill his people." "Then we wait?" Ortega asked. "We wait," Craig confirmed. "Let them come. We let them deploy their fleets, stretch their lines, and then we cut out the spine." He gestured toward the holomap, where updated shield diagnostics and FTL sync reports scrolled in fast succession. "Our blink network is locked. Every ship in the Heimdall flotilla can jump in formation. No drift, no recalibration. And thanks to the Arathi cores, we've got the power to sustain shield harmonics across the entire field grid." "Star encapsulation tech," Ortega said, almost to himself. "Still hard to believe we're carrying pieces of a sun inside our ships." Craig nodded. "The Concord still thinks we're defending. They haven't figured out we've become something else." Ortega gave a tight smile. A spear instead of a shield. Craig didn't smile back. "No, a trap." He tapped the display, highlighting weak points in standard Concord fleet formations: rear support carriers, slow command dreadnoughts, vulnerable long-range artillery nodes. "We don't meet them at the line. We let them through. Let them attack at full force, and when their command ships are deep enough..." He drew a line behind the icons. "We shut the door." Ortega glanced at him. "We cut off their retreat." "We end their war before it begins," Craig said. Silence settled between them. They weren't just ready. They were waiting. 2 days passed. Every moment was used. Weapon calibrations triple-checked. Blink drives synchronized. Shield matrices stress-tested under simulated fire. No speeches, no banners. Just the quiet discipline of a fleet that knew what was coming and welcomed it. And then, without warning, the stars opened. The Concord fleet arrived. They did not come in waves. They came as a wall. Thousands of ships, gleaming, brutal, perfect in their geometric order, spilled into the Heimdall sector in a synchronized burn from slipspace, each vessel marked with the sigils of 100 systems, unified beneath one purpose: annihilation. Ortega stepped onto the command deck as the enemy's mass shadow triggered every sensor in the system. "Contact," the tactical officer said. "All vectors, full formation." Craig's eyes didn't blink. "Let them fire." The Concord made no demands, no posturing, no second chances. They unleashed everything. It was apocalyptic. Plasma lances thick as city towers, kinetic flak detonating across kilometers, disruptor beams, thermonuclear payloads, quantum destabilizers, firepower to erase a civilization, to reduce a world to ash. And Heimdall took it. The shields held. Not a flicker. Not a crack. The Starcore encapsulation system sang in harmonic resonance, distributing the energy with fluid precision. The Concord's unstoppable barrage washed across a fleet that refused to break. A long pause followed. Silence, stunned and cold, settled across the Concord's forward lines as their captains processed the impossible. No damage, not even a dent. Craig didn't move. He just said one word: "Now." Like ghosts answering a summoning, the ships of the Ararat 9, Calder Reach, the cloaked strike frigates of the Suklor, and the matte black warships of the Trigon Kar vanished from Heimdall's perimeter, executing a single plan under a single commander. Commander Ilias Vore, calm, precise, and utterly lethal, led the assault from his ship, Wayland's Edge. Under his orders, the human fleet emerged behind the Concorde fleet in perfect sync, and without pause, they opened fire. On board the Blade of Honor, Grand Marshal Orak Threx staggered toward the tactical display, blinking at the burst of red alerts flaring across the rear lines. "How did they get behind us?" An officer's voice came tight with panic. They're blinking. Short-range tactical jumps. No drift. No signature." "Short-range jumps?" Threx barked. "Nobody has a technology like that." He stared at the burning rear formations, the ruptured comms flooding with screams and static. He hesitated. A heartbeat. 2. He moved to speak. But 2 seconds was an eternity at faster-than-light velocity. By the time he raised a claw to issue new orders, the second wave struck. The human flotilla came again. More ships, more angles. Blink fire, vanish, strike. The Concorde fleet was no longer a formation. It was a maze of wreckage and flame. And from the bridge of Heimdall, Craig watched it unfold with no triumph in his eyes. Only cold, quiet resolve. "They expected an easy kill," he said. "We gave them a quick death." The battlefield was silent. Where there had been fire, now there was only drifting wreckage, shattered hulls, and the cold glow of containment fields locking onto what remained of the Concorde fleet. The survivors, fractured, leaderless, and stunned, floated in quiet defeat. Their weapons were powered down, engines cold, shields flickering and failing. On the bridge of Heimdall, Admiral Craig stood at the center of the command deck, his gaze fixed on the tactical display. His voice carried across wide-band comms to every surviving Concorde vessel in the sector. "This is Admiral Edmund Craig of Heimdall. Power down all systems. Surrender your ships. Surrender your weapons. Prepare to be boarded and taken as war prisoners. Refuse and die. No warning shots, just orders." Silence followed. Then, slowly, ships began blinking out their reactors. Shields collapsed. Auto beacons triggered surrender protocols. One by one, the Concorde fleet surrendered. Craig turned to Ortega. "Deploy boarding teams. Mark every ship. Anyone stalls or fakes a shutdown. Vent them. And make sure the Varnkai are treated as guests, not prisoners." Ortega nodded, expression grim. "Copy that." Then, a flare of subspace ruptured across the starboard sensor grid. Incoming FTL signatures. Dozens. "New contacts," the sensor officer called. "Sol fleet, multiple carriers, dreadnoughts, full burn vector." A moment later, the tactical screen lit up with a wave of incoming vessels. Sleek, modern, fully armed. The Sol defense fleet, arriving from Earth and core territory. Leading the charge, the heavy cruiser the Black Death, flagship of Admiral Duncan Kane. The bridge comms chirped. "Craig," Kane's voice came through, dry and amused. "Did you leave anything standing? Or are we just here to watch you sweep the floor?" Craig didn't miss a beat. "You're just in time." A pause. "Next stop is Concord Prime." The prisoners were secured. The Concord fleet, what was left of it, was silenced. Craig stood at the observation deck of Heimdall, watching the last of the enemy ships vanish into containment carriers. A war had been fought and won. But not finished. 2 hours later, the sky above Concord Prime split into fury. Dozens of human ships, battle cruisers, carriers, escort destroyers, dropped out of FTL in tight formation. Heimdall emerged at the front, silent and massive, her shields glowing like a storm trapped in steel. Then came the Black Death, flanked by Sol Fleet dreadnoughts bristling with planetary assault cannons. On the planet's surface, alarm screamed through the capital. The Council's defense grid stuttered to life. Planetary shields, orbital platforms, interceptor drones, all surging online in desperation. The High Minister watched it unfold from orbit, on board the Council authority, a command carrier scrambling for safe distance. "All defensive assets to full deployment," he barked, voice cracking. "Target Heimdall. I want that ship destroyed." Below, anti-orbital silos opened. Hundreds of ground-to-space missiles launched. orbital guns locked in. Concord's last loyal ships surged to defend the throne world. But it was too late. Humanity didn't come to negotiate. It came to finish the war. Missiles never reached their targets. Point defense systems lit up like webs of lightning, intercepting and shredding the mid-atmosphere. Orbital platforms tried to return fire, but Heimdall's blink strikes tore them apart before their cannons could finish charging. On the Bridge of Black Death, Admiral Kane grinned, eyes locked on the chaos. "They're scrambling," he said. "No coordination, just panic." Sol Fleet destroyers dropped into low orbit and unleashed planetary bombardment. Rail cannons fired slugs the size of tanks at hypersonic speed, smashing into shield generators, defense towers, and military compounds. The ground cracked. Cities shook. From the surface, it looked like the sun had dropped warheads. From Heimdall, Craig gave a single command: begin orbital sweep. Focus on hard points. Priority target: the Council carrier. The sky lit up. Aboard the Council Authority, the High Minister stood at the command rail, pale and sweating, staring at the void between his ship and the looming shadow of Heimdall. "Get us out of range, now!" he barked. "Impossible, sir. Heimdall just blinked into intercept range." He spun toward the viewport and saw her. Then the void shimmered. Something blinked into existence, fast and silent. Not human ships. Suklor. 5 of them. Cloaked strike frigates. Copper-scaled hulls barely visible as they emerged between Heimdall and the Council Authority. No lights. No signals. Just their presence. A death sentence wrapped in silence. For a breath, nothing moved. And in that breath, the High Minister understood. "They're not here for a fight," he muttered, voice hollow. "They're here to finish us." Then the Suklor ships blinked again. This time, forward, closing the gap in microseconds. A storm of arc fire erupted across the Council carrier's hull. Plasma blades lanced through its midsection, cutting clean across its primary decks. Targeted charges detonated at critical nodes: life support, comm relays, engine stabilizers. The Council Authority buckled, listing, half its starboard side gone. Flames tore through its spine. But it wasn't over. From the left flank, another ripple in space tore open. Rauk Zahir had arrived. The matte black Predator-class cruiser of the Trigon car blinked into position behind the Suklor line. Its angular silhouette was unmistakable, designed not for defense, but for vengeance. "This is for Kar Kadesh, and every soul you killed that day," Rauk Zahir said, cold and low. His ship's prow-mounted cannon, a fusion-tipped mass driver, charged with a deep hum. Then it fired. The final shot hit dead center. There was no explosion at first, just light. Then pressure. The core ruptured inward, collapsing the carrier's reactor chamber. Then it reversed. An expanding blast of energy, blue-white and blinding, tore outward in a rolling wave, ripping the Council Authority to its atoms. In an instant, it was gone. Craig checked the scan as the display confirmed the kill. Ortega sighed. That was excessive. Craig didn't blink. That was earned. He turned away from the viewport. "Clear the sector. We move on the Council chambers. No survivors." In the aftermath, all that remained was silence. No more transmissions. No more orders. No more Concord. On the bridge of Heimdall, Craig stared at the scorched planet. Ortega stood beside him. "It's done, sir." Craig didn't respond at first. Then, "No, now, it begins."
Hey there, space human. I'm really curious about your thoughts on this video. Drop a quick comment and let me know what's on your mind. Or just say hi if you prefer. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Also, remember to check the pinned comment. Trust me, it's worth a look. Oh, and one last thing. I've chosen another video for you to watch. Just click the card here, or here if you want the whole playlist. See you there.